What's up, my friend? Welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to share with you how I personally think about B sections. I realize I haven't done quite a lot of content on this channel regarding that specifically, mainly because I think it can be hard to quantify exactly how to create an effective B section in your compositions. A lot of us find writing A themes very simple. It's easy enough to write like a 4-bar theme or an 8-bar theme for many composers, but when you go to expanding that and putting another section onto it that sounds natural and it flows from one section to another in a seamless way, it can be a lot more difficult. So I kind of want to unwrap my thought process here in this video, and I want to share a practical example as well so you can hear this in action in the way I think about these things. And of course, at any time, if you want to check out my complete composing process, how I go from the first idea all the way to the polished final track ready for publishing, then I want to give you free access to my workshop called the Complete Composers Framework. It's absolutely free and it goes through step by step how I make music from start to finish. And it's down below in the description if you want to grab that anytime. And just so you know, it's a little gift for you for checking out this video today that you can grab down below. So with that being said, let's kind of get into it. I do have the score on hand as well, but what I want to do is play for you the A section and the B section first, and then we can go back, listen to it one more time with the score so you can see the notation as well. So let's have a quick listen here to my violin piece that I wrote for my recital Moment in Time called Dancing Among the Stars. So I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. Then it goes to a C section after that. But for this purposes of this video, we're focusing on the A section and the B section, respectively. So let's take a look now at the score. Let's have a listen one more time, and you can actually see where the A and the B actually lie in the music here. So let's start one more time from the intro. All right, there we go. So let's kind of break this down. And by the way, if you're a violinist yourself, you want to try out this score for yourself, I've also included a link down below where you can grab it for 10 bucks. All you need is a pianist, or you can play the backing track and play along with it. And if you do upload it, let me know. I'd love to hear your version of this piece as well. So the very first device I want to mention here is modulation. And I'm going to cover 3 devices in this video that you can take and use. And I wanted to start with one of the more obvious ones, which again is changing keys or modulation. The reason this works so well is that if you have an intro or an A section that sort of establishes a basic idea, it sort of gives us a color palette to expect the rest of the piece moving forward. So in this case, I'm in the key of E major. It's personally my favorite key of all time, just because a lot of my favorite pieces of music and songs are in the key of E major. And here in the B section, basically, you can see I've moved to C sharp major. So I basically added three more sharps to really brighten up the key, to change up the feeling from just a more neutral, bright key to something even brighter, to make it even more colorful, potentially even darker, depending on how you personally feel keys, if you do at all. This, again, is effective because you're switching up the entire color palette. Now, instead of just a regular paintbrush of reds, blues, and yellows, for example, now it's like we're introducing green and purple into the mix. So we're introducing a bunch of black notes that we haven't heard before. We're taking away a bunch of white notes. It changes it up, right? So let's have one more listen here. So this is the second half of the A section here. But that's the first time, actually. Let's skip forward just a tad here. So we're in the key of E major, nice and sweet, and now you can sort of feel that color sort of change a little bit, right? Because we're using a different scale altogether. They're still both major, but because C sharp major introduces those three additional sharps, you have that additional color change there, right? So modulation is super, super powerful. And then after this, I actually go to the C section, which again goes into a different key, in this case, A major. So I'm sort of modulating all over the place, but you can really feel that distinction between A and B. So don't underestimate modulation and changing keys and committing to that change when you are going from A to B. The second thing I want to talk about is changing up your melodic structure. So let's say you keep the keys the same from A section to B section, but you want to change up the melody a little bit to give the B section its own distinct identity. And this can be very, very effective. So notice how in the A section, a lot of my melody is very long and very smooth. There's a lot of, there's some arpeggiation motion here, like going up the broken chord, but then there's also the scalar motion, especially here in the second half. Right? It kind of goes up very smoothly and kind of goes down. But what happens in the B section? Notice how we have these more abrupt points at where the melody cuts off with these staccatos. That's one phrase. Right? That's another phrase, or a little motif, if you will. So I'm shortening each motif a little bit and into its own self-contained little idea. And as a result, it brightens up the feel a little bit in addition to the key change. So not only are we brightening the key, the mood, by going from E major to C sharp major, we're also enhancing the overall feel by shortening the melody into more like small fragments, basically. So instead of like all these notes are tied and slurred together to create a really long melodic line, now we have these staccatos to sort of interrupt each of those motifs and give them their own unique identity. So I wanted the B section to feel more lively and exciting, and you can see that I wrote that here in the expression. And I did that by having it more staccato and more light as a whole. Even here, where we have some scalar motion with those double stops, I still throw in those staccatos there to kind of, brighten up the feel a little bit. So if we hear that one more time, right here, bum, 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 right, and then, right. So when you have those short notes contrasted with the long notes we heard in the A section, there's quite a bit of a mood difference there. So switching up your melody in ways where you can switch up the articulation or maybe change the direction of the melody. Maybe you're going up in your A section with the melody, but you decide to start going down, and then you can throw in some more leaps and intersperse them with the steps. You can really play around with your B sections to give them their own unique identity melodically as well. And naturally, that segues into our third and final device, which is changing up the harmonic progression, changing up the chords themselves, the chord structure. Now, in this case, I didn't actually do as much of that here, because in the key of E major, you can see I'm going from the 1 chord, which is E major, to the 5 chord, back to the 1 chord, right? Technically, this is the 4/5, but the idea is going from 1 to 5 to 1. In the C sharp major section, the B section, I'm also kind of doing the same thing, 1 to 5 to 1, but it's just in the key of C sharp major, so that the modulation, the key change, helps me with that B section sounding different. But then the second half here of this phrase is where the progression starts to change a little bit. So instead of just doing 1 to 5 again, 1 and 5 again, here I'm actually going to the 4, and then 3, 2 to 5. So 4, 3, 2, 5, 1. And I'm just looking here in the A section. Actually, I do something very similar. 4 to 1, 6 to 2 to 5 to 1. Okay, so the progression actually pretty much is the same in both sections. So I decided to keep the progression more or less the same here, at least in the first half of the B section, and focus on changing the melodic structure and the key itself, the modulation. Here, though, at the end of the B section is where I do change the progression a bit more. So instead of going from 4 down to 2 to 5 back to 1, here I start on the 2 and go up to the 4 and to the 5. So we go from the 2 chord to the 3 chord, or basically the 1, 6, 1 in first inversion, to the 4, then to the 5. So that sounds like this. So starting on the 2, to 1, 6, to 4, to 5, and you would expect to go back to the 1 in C sharp, but then I go up a semitone to the new key of A major, which is now my new tonic right there. So I hope that kind of made sense. These are the 3 devices that I would typically entertain first when I'm trying to go from the A to the B section. Number 1 is modulation, changing the key entirely, because that will change your entire palette very, very easily. Whether that's a very closely related key, like it's like 1 or 2 sharps or flats away, that will make it really, really smooth. Or if you want to go a bit more extreme like I did here, going from 4 to 7 sharps, whatever you decide to do, any sort of key change will introduce a bit of harmonic, or sorry, a bit of, that color palette switching up a bit. So the listener should kind of feel that. The second thing you can try is melodic, like playing around with a melody, right? Melodic fragmentation, extension, whatever you want to call it. You can switch around the directions of the melody, switch around the note values. In this case, I played around with the articulations a bit more, made the note values a bit short, a bit longer here as well with the 8th notes instead of all 16th notes. So it actually feels like there's these individual melodic fragments that are being joined together. And then the third and final thing is the harmonic progression. This one I did the least here in this B section because I kept it pretty much the same chord structure as the A section, but I did change it at the very end to lead us into the C section. So key change, melody change, and chord change. Totally up to you what you want to do, but these are sort of the 3 devices I would personally try first, okay? Hopefully that's helpful. And if you have any additional questions about B sections, please feel free to let me know down below. I'll do my best to help out. But I think B sections are such a fun thing to write because there's a bit of magic that's captured when you have that perfect B section or that perfect follow-up section that just, leads you so beautifully from the A section to the new section. And instinctively that this is a new section or a new portion of your piece. It feels like it's developing and expanding, and you're basically going on this journey further into the music before you come back, maybe with an A section or a C section before it returns back to A. You're basically taking the listener on that journey further and further away from home, and then eventually you can wrap it up really nicely with a final A section if that's what you want to do. So again, B sections are beautiful. Hopefully this video helped a little bit. And of course, if you want to check out my complete composing process, then I want to give you free access again to my workshop down below, the Complete Composer's Framework, which goes through step-by-step how I think about creating ideas from the very beginning and, producing, orchestrating, mixing and mastering, and finally releasing music at the very, very end. I want to give that to you for free down below in the description. You can grab it there. And again, if you want to check out the score that we've referenced here today, and you're a violin or piano player, you want to try this out for yourself, I'll put that down below as well, and you can grab that anytime. So thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video, and I'll see you very soon. Take care.